Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Ryan Newman, and today I will be previewing and predicting Clemson's 2022 season. By Clemson standards, they had a down year last year. They lost 3 games, and that was with a 5-2 record in one-score game. So they were really nowhere near what they had been in the previous several years. So this is kind of the first year here. We're heading into a season. Clemson is not a huge favorite in the ACC. I mean, they're still a favorite, but not a ginormous one at that. So ACC should be wide open this year. But let's kind of get into why Clemson wasn't so great last year, and that's the offense. It's obvious. What the heck happened to DJ U? I mean, we saw him in 2020 for those 2 games when he had to fill in for Trevor Lawrence, and he was on fire. Those 2 games were great. His game at Notre Dame was just like, you just kind of thought, oh man, he's the next great Clemson quarterback. He's going to be a Heisman favorite. And he just struggled this past year. 9 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's just not good. And Clemson's overall as an offense was ineffective, both rushing and passing. Just wasn't good. Now there's more reasons than just DJU, but it wasn't good all the way around. Now heading into 2022, they do return a lot. They return 9 starters on that side of the ball. The offensive line returns 4 out of 5. Top 3 running backs are all back, led by Will Shipley and Kobe Pace. They do lose their leading receiver and Justin Ross, which is a loss, but everybody else is back. And they have a new offensive coordinator. Brandon Streeter takes over after Tony Elliott took the head coaching job over at Virginia. Maybe some Clemson fans are thinking that's a good thing. I don't see how it could really be a bad thing after how bad they were on offense last year. So maybe a new OC could do them some good. But if I'm looking at this offense as a whole and I'm trying to project how good they'll be, and other people as well, I don't know how you can just think that they're going to be all of a sudden really good. It's essentially all the same guys that they had last year that just didn't play very well. So you don't just go from being about the 100th best offense to top 25-ish, which is what they're hoping for. You don't just make that big of a jump with the same guys and with really no changes. I mean, they do have a new offensive coordinator, but he was promoted from within. So I'm not thinking he's going to really change a whole ton from their system that they've had in the past. So, with everybody back, I do see this offense getting better, albeit, not a huge jump. And me personally, I think DJU is going to get overtaken by Cade Klubnik, the 5-star freshman quarterback coming in. I think DJU will start the season as the number 1 guy, but at some point during the year, I think Klubnik is going to kind of take the reins, because I think we saw enough of DJU to know I don't think he's going to be the guy. So I look for Klubnik to be the guy at some point during the season. But that's enough about the offense. Move on to the side of the ball that arguably might be the best unit, that might be the best half of the team in all of college football, the defense. Officially, if you go by kind of Phil Steele's preview magazine, they have 6 starters returning, but really it's more like 8, when you consider some of the guys coming back from injury and then some just extensive playing experience. So they got a lot of talent and production coming back. The defensive line is arguably the best unit in the nation. There's 6. You can maybe even convince yourself of 7 guys that could get drafted in the NFL draft next year just from that D-line alone. So the talent there is just insane. And they're led by their defensive end, Myles Murphy. Last year he had 39 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, and 8 sacks, and that was just in his true sophomore campaign. So he's in line to have a huge junior year, and then, of course, I would imagine he'd go pro. Defensive tackle Brian Brzee is back. Battled injury last year, only played 4 games. He's a former 5-star top recruit. And he played quite a bit as a freshman, but they were stacked that year too at defensive line. So, but he was right there with some of those top guys that they had, and he's got all the potential in the world. So as long as he's healthy, he's going to be great. And then they got seniors Xavier Thomas and Tyler Davis just kind of finishing up that starting unit on that defensive line, just a stout group there. So anyway, we move to the linebacking group. You got to start with Trenton Simpson, just an all going to be a potential All-American this year. A little bit young otherwise, but I think they're going to be more than fine with that great defensive line in front of them. The one concern, I'm going to put quotes on that, one concern I would have is in the secondary, and particularly at corner. Goodrich and Booth are both gone. So those are some key losses there in the secondary. At corner in particular, they do have talent coming back as far as guys that are going to be replacing those two, stepping into those starting roles. But, you just lack the experience that you would like. So, and then I guess the other concern you have to consider is losing defensive coordinator Brent Venables. I mean, he's been the guy running that defense for, over 10 years now? And, I mean, he has been unbelievable for them. He's not leaving the cupboard empty whatsoever, but you do have to kind of consider, like, okay, what's it going to be like with a new coach, a new guy running the show there? I'd imagine they'd still be the elite unit, but it could have an impact losing such a great coach like Venables. All right, so we got the offense down, we got the defense. Let's take a look at the schedule here. And, it certainly starts off a lot easier than it did last year when they had to play Georgia. I believe that game was in Atlanta, 10-3, not a pretty game. But they played the other team from Georgia to start off this year. They play at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, just rough go there for Jeff Collins. It's not going to be pretty again this year, it seems like. So that's going to be should be a convincing win for Clemson. Start off 1-0. Furman comes in 2-0. Louisiana Tech comes in 3-0. This is where it starts to get a tough run, a tough stretch of games here for Clemson. You got at Wake Forest. Obviously, they were in the ACC title game last year, returned a ton of production, particularly on offense. Sam Hartman's a great QB, so that'll be a tough game. I'm going to take Clemson there. I say Clemson still got too much talent for him, so 4-0. Then NC State comes to town. NC State got him last year. They beat Clemson in overtime, I believe it was. And I'm going with NC State again. I think the Wolfpack are not afraid. They definitely know how to beat Clemson, and they got a ton of returning talent. So I'll say NC State gets them in Clemson. So that'll be 4-1. Moving on to at Boston College, another team that should take a step forward as long as Phil Jurkovec is healthy at quarterback. That's a very competitive team. Gave him a run last year, a little bit. So yeah, but I do think Clemson's got too much talent for them with that defense. Jurkovec just not going to be able to do too much. So I'll say they get the win at Boston College. At Florida State, some folks are pretty high on Florida State, thinking they're going to take a big jump this year. I'm not one of them. I think they'll be a little better, but I'm just not seeing a huge jump, especially from that offense. So I'll say Clemson gets the win there. Syracuse, they get Syracuse next. They actually should be better this year. Dino Babers has one of his more talented Syracuse teams, but it's still Syracuse, so they're not going to do it. That would be so that's 7-1 there after Syracuse. Toughest game arguably on the schedule here at Notre Dame. A couple years ago when they played at Notre Dame was a remarkable game. They did lose. Notre Dame did trip them up. I'm gonna say Notre Dame does do that again. I like Notre Dame this year. They gotta have a good running game. They're gonna have a good defense. So I think those are two keys to pulling off some upsets. Just having a good year. So I'll say Notre Dame gets the win there. So that'll be 7-2 for Clemson so far. Moving on, we got Louisville. They come in. Louisville should be good. Malik Cunningham, Mikhail Cunningham. I'm not sure what he's being called now. He'll probably change it, but he's a great quarterback, man. He really is. He's fun to watch. But their defense leaves a lot to be desired. So I just don't think they're going to have enough. So I'll say win for Clemson there. That's 8-2. Miami, Mario Cristobal, new head coach. Tyler Van Dyke, quarterback, was pretty exciting as a freshman last year. Tough call for them, or tough game for them to come in and try to win at Clemson. I'll say Clemson gets the win there, 9-2. And then they got the rivalry game against South Carolina. Hasn't really been all that competitive lately. So I still think it'll be, this year could be actually interesting. South Carolina should be better with Rattler at the quarterback position, but I still think Clemson's too good. So I'll say they get the win there. So that's a 10-2 overall record for Clemson. In the betting market, most betting websites have this season win total set at about 10.5. So I'm right in line with that, maybe just a touch under. But that's a 7-1 record in ACC play, and I think that's going to be good enough to get them in the ACC title game after missing it last year. And I have them taking on Pittsburgh, and I think they're going to actually beat Pittsburgh for the ACC title. But with a couple of losses on the season, I do think that they will miss out on the playoff for a second consecutive season. But 10-2 overall, winning the conference. Could be worse for Clemson fans. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the College Football Bros. let me know in the comments your guys' thoughts on how you think Clemson will do this year. I also want to hear you guys' take in particular about their offense. We all know the defense is going to be good, but maybe I'm just crazy and thinking the offense isn't going to be that good. Maybe you guys think differently than I do. But don't forget to click subscribe and see plenty more videos like this one. We've already done some, and we'll continue to put out more. But that'll be it. See you guys next time.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.